Evening, folks. Tonight's show, we're going to talk. I'm going to be talking about the infamous Tod Standing and his Discovering Bigfoot documentary, which I across on Netflix. Watched it before, till because I wasn't going to pay the man. But now Netflix, I went ahead and watched it. Took me 3 days. Anyway, I'm going to go over that. So stay tuned and go over.
911, what are you reporting?
I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
A good-sized man, or something. It looks like a man.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was.
Welcome to Sasquatch Hypotheses.
If I was going to take it, or whatever it was, it was Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Tia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
Son of a bitch is about 6'9".
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
And the guy is on foot.
I don't know what... It's a big, real big person.
But it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person, somebody really big.
Okay, let's talk about the legend, Tod Standing. I ran across his documentary on Netflix. I had heard people talking about two pictures in particular that were a joke. I saw the two pictures. I agreed with everybody that they are a joke. And so tonight I took some stills from the documentary. And first of all, I want to say, it took me 3 days to watch this documentary. I would watch 15, 20 minutes of it, and I'd shut it off because I couldn't stand it. The reason is because it was so obvious. This man is blatant about his desire to get his own show. Everything, the majority of this is about him. I mean, he's a media whore. He obviously is trying to get people to notice him as some kind of survivor man like dude and give him his own show. If I'm sorry, a few people, if some of you watching this like Tod Standing, I know I was communicating back and forth with John Bindernagel at one point, quite a few years ago, and he brought up Tod Standing. And I said, well, I saw those pictures and they look pretty fake to me, and the man never answered my emails again. So I guess, I stepped on his toes. I guess he's a pro Tod Standing kind of guy. And he was in his documentary, so I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Anyway, this guy, Tod Standing, he's got footage of him, as man of action running through the woods and running alongside of a river, and riding an ATV up a dirt road, which is, I don't know, I guess a logging road, but it's just a dirt road. And yet this documentary, supposedly the entire thing takes place out in some remote mountainous area that even experienced hikers have a hard time getting to. So what is with all this footage of him driving ATVs and running alongside rivers and stuff like that? It's obvious the man is trying to make it look like, he's trying to become a survivor man, only for the Bigfoot community or something. I don't know. I think he's failing miserably, and we're going to go over why I think he's failing miserably right now. So hopefully my video is good now. I'm going to check it real quick when I switch over here. Okay, everyone knows this guy here. This is the famous Bigfoot, one of the famous Bigfoot images. Now I'm getting yellow on my video feed. Hopefully that is, I got that before and it looked fine to me when I played it back. So hopefully it's still good. What is this? Bless. I'm reading some comments here. Give me a moment here, folks. Running through the woods like Rambo. Yeah. Tim Lockwood, man, you're right there with me. I watched maybe 5 minutes before shutting it off. Yeah, I had to. I forced myself to get through the show because I wanted to do a show about it, and I'm telling you, it was just difficult. It was like pulling teeth getting through that thing. It's just he is so blatant about wanting to be the man, and he's just it's a joke. Anyway, here's our famous one of the famous Bigfoot images here. This is the one that some people have overlaid a picture of Tod and said it was him in makeup. I don't think it was him in makeup. I think this was a dummy because the part of the video where it blinks, the entire eye, the bony part above the eye, like your eyebrow, moves. It blinks along with the eyelid. That doesn't happen. People don't blink that way. The entire orbit of the eye doesn't move when you blink. So this was obviously some kind of animatronics or something, and it blinked in slow motion. When things blink, it's usually a very quick blink of the eyelid. This thing, it was very mechanical looking to me. It was crap. In my opinion, it was crap. It was fake. All right, so that's that. And then here's the other thing. This is the same, supposedly the same one. Now let's flip back. Hopefully these images are changing in real time and everything. My first attempt at tonight's episode didn't work out. I wasn't showing half the pictures I was talking about. So hopefully these are working out. All right, here's the same dude at a different angle. Notice the supposed sagittal crest. Now look at it here. That sagittal crest is like bigger than his entire face. It's like going from his collarbone to his eyebrows. That's how big this thing is. That's just ridiculous. Don't believe it. Don't believe if Bigfoots have a sagittal crest. One, I didn't see the one when I saw it didn't have the top of the window cut off the top of his head, so I couldn't tell if he had a sagittal crest. So, as far as I'm concerned, because I've heard some people say their head is round, and some people say it's got a sagittal crest, and maybe that's two different species, I don't know. But the ones, if they have a sagittal crest, I seriously doubt that they're this high. That's obviously a poor attempt and an overdone attempt at a sagittal crest, if you ask me. Okay, here's another picture. Here's me showing the difference between those two images. It's different shape and everything. Now, I suppose it could be sloping back or whatever, but if you ask me, it's not the same shape on the two sides. So when you look at them from one angle, it's lopsided. When you look at it from another angle, it's more cone-shaped. That's, to me, is what this is showing. So that's why I put the arrows there. Oh, I think the arrows are coming out blue. I forgot to swap the colors. So the blue arrows are supposed to be red, but it really doesn't matter. They're still arrows. There you go. All right, now here's the one that I think is just completely crazy. I can't believe the man even bothered to put this up. This thing is so fake looking, it's unreal. There is no facial structure. There's no bones. There's no cheeks. I mean, the Bigfoot I saw was like you pulled skin over a skull. That's how bony the cheeks and the eyebrows and all of that were. This thing it has no features. This is the Justin Bieber of Bigfoots. It's just soft and feminine. It's just, there's nothing there. There's no manly features, nothing rugged. I mean, this Bigfoot got made fun of in school and everything. He got his lunch money taken from him. And then there's of course, let's see, I think I have it pointed out in another picture. Let me find it. That's the same one. And then the solid black eyes. That's like a marble. That's not an eye. That's just a marble. And I think what he was trying to do is mimic that. Some people say they look like they have Down syndrome because the eye's a little funny shaped. Either he did that or he just screwed up when he cut the eyeball out. I don't know. But it looks like it's actually some kind of a mask that's been pulled over a man's face. Because if you look at that bottom arrow pointing at the lips, that's obviously material that has been cut out. And it's not even cut out symmetrically, and then there's lips. I mean, if you look at the lips go under the edge. See where the red arrow is, just below that. If you look at where the lip is, where the break in the lip is, that the material is pulled over top of it. It does not even a natural termination of a mouth. So come on, people. How can anyone believe that this is real? Seriously, come on now. All right. And those are the two pictures that I saw, and I was like, this is complete horseshit. Excuse me. I've got to clean up my language for monetization on Google and everything. So this is complete horse hockey or horse pucky or whatever. It's crap. I think I can say that one. Now this is the third Bigfoot, which I had never heard about, but I saw it on the documentary, and I said, oh, my God, maybe he actually got a Bigfoot in there. Now, I don't see the mouth. I don't see the jaw. It could be that this is just some guy wearing a really good makeup. I mean, this makeup job is better than the Muppets we just saw a minute ago. So either he found somebody who knew what they were doing, who did a pretty good job, or this is really a Bigfoot. Because if you look at the skin texture, all of that modeling in the skin and everything, that's a lot of detail work for a makeup artist. Then you look at the eye. The eye has got you got the entire structure there. It doesn't just look like a marble. And to me, that doesn't look like a what is it, a sclera contact, where it covers like the entire eye. They use them in movies to change the entire eye look, because you can actually see specular highlights of the iris, the pupil, the cornea rather. You can see the specular highlight, and then you can see a dark edge where there's a change in shape. Now, I don't think that they do that with those sclera contacts. They're just a big, just one single contact with no detail to it. It's just colored. As far as I know, the ones I've seen, that's what they look like anyway. I mean, maybe they make better ones. Or either that, or somebody pulled this into Photoshop and they darkened the whites of the guy's eye to give it a little more realism. But then if you look at the nose, there's a lot of detail there with scratches and stuff like that. It's a real good makeup job if it's a makeup job. Now, the one thing that makes me doubt it is that the boniness that, like I said, the one I saw in the window, it looked like a skull with skin pulled over it. That's how bony it was. So like the structure around the eyes was very skeletal looking. The eyes were very deep set. And I don't see that here. If you look at the right eye and you look at the that bone that goes down the outside of the right eye where the temple is, that to me, I mean, it looks like a regular person. I don't see the bony structure that I saw in the window on the Bigfoot that I saw when I was younger. I don't see anything like that. This thing is it looks Bigfoot-ish, but it doesn't look as intensely primitive, I guess, as the Bigfoot that I saw. The one I saw was extremely, it was like a skull. I just can't even the image that I created doesn't capture just how intense that look was. And this one is very soft in comparison. However, it is the best job that I've seen so far. It's up there with some of the best artwork I've seen people do. So I kind of doubt, based on his other Bigfoots, that he would go to the extreme. So I think it's quite possible he actually, when he was out there, he might have actually captured a Bigfoot peeking at him under a log. I mean, it's a very brief clip, and it's possible he got it, but it could be a dude. Somebody told me that this is actually, he knows that this is a guy in makeup. I'd like to get more information about that. If any of you all know anything about it, go ahead and tell me. I can't see the comments right now because I'm looking at my the program that has these images in it. I'll flip back in a minute and read them. But here I intensified the brightness so that you could see a little bit more of the structure of the eye. That's what I was looking for in particular, because like the other one where it has the cutout around the mouth, the one with almost no features, it's just flat, that has the black marble of an eye. The entire eye, there is no detail to the shape of the eye. You know, real eyeballs have shape to them. They're not just round. They're not just like marbles. And this one here has actual detail to it. In the sclera, you can see the white there, but it's not completely white like a human, which is in line with the one that I saw. I mean, it did actually turn completely white when you got to the outside, kind of like a lab, but it was dark from the outside of the iris. Let's see. There, I got a circle around the iris there. I think I've already covered that pretty good. All right, here you go. Here's a comparison of the two different ones, the ridiculous Bigfoots that we've all heard about, and the different ridiculous features that I pointed out. And what got me even back then, before I ever saw the third one, was these two Bigfoots. Tod Standing was telling everybody. Like I said, I didn't watch this documentary until like a week or 2 weeks ago when I ran across it on Netflix. And this controversy has been out here for what years now? 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So, but what got me is when I saw these two pictures, the one thought that it came to me is, how could this man who says that he has seen dozens of Bigfoots get it so wrong? I mean, these two Bigfoots look so different from each other. How could he even think that anyone's going to take him seriously? Because if he had seen one, they would both look the same. There would be similarities between them. You know, these are so different looking that, and the one on the right here, the one just is ridiculous. The one on the left at least looks like there was some professional work done to it. The one on the right looks like it was a very, like he sewed that thing together one night and then put it on the next day. That's how badly done that thing is. How could he think that it's passable? Because if he had ever seen a Bigfoot, which he supposedly has, and, up until I saw this, I thought, well, the man's out there. If he's out there in Bigfoot country, he's probably seen one. I kind of don't know. If he has, he's never seen one up close. He doesn't know what their face looks like. He doesn't know what their heads looks like. I personally think that it's quite possible that the sagittal crest that everyone talks about is really just a wild hair day, like Kramer on Seinfeld. His hair sticks up like that. He doesn't have a sagittal crest. That's just the way his hair is. We see people all the time. When I was young, you had to have, just your hair had to be just right. And if it was wild, you were a hippie. Nowadays, that's kind of the thing. You can make your hair look any way you want to, and some of it's get pretty wild. Maybe that's just what Bigfoot. I doubt they have brushes and combs. Their hair just looks like that sometimes. I think it's quite possible that's the case. They probably have some kind of shape to their head. My head's kind of, pointy on the top. I kind of have a egg-shaped head myself. I wouldn't call it a sagittal crest, but it does look like that. When I shave my head down completely bald, which I do sometimes, I have a shape to it like that. It's just not that pronounced, but it's possible Bigfoot's, their hair, their head, who knows? But it doesn't mean they all have a sagittal crest like a gorilla. I don't know if I believe that. Anyway, let's move on. All right, here's all three of them. Now, like I was saying before, the disparity between these three different Bigfoots, these are complete. There's no way you're going to tell me that these, let's assume, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and assume these are real things he photographed out in the wild. You cannot say that these three things are the same species. If these are real, they are three completely different species. You know, I mean, okay, they all walk upright. We know that years ago, my program's really, I don't know what, I'll have to read the rest of that later. Just got a comment, sorry. It's three completely different species. You know, I mean, years ago we had multiple species of humans walking the earth. You had Neanderthals and, you know, all these. I guess at one point we had like a dozen or a couple of dozen different human-like species walking the earth, but they were all different species. They all walked upright. They were all primate. That's the only thing you could say about these three Bigfoots. So these are completely different species. They're not the same. Now, we have a hard enough time selling science on the fact that there's one species that they don't know about. How are you going to try and say that there's three now? You know, this is ridiculous. If he's ever seen a Bigfoot, these three fakes or two fakes and a real, I don't know what's what, would all have similar features. They would all look similar. They would all look like different versions of the one on the right, because that's like the one I saw. They would not look like the one on the left and the one in the middle. The one on the left and the one in the middle, the mouth isn't low enough. Everybody who's ever seen a Bigfoot in the face says the mouth, the upper lip is really long, like a gorilla. The one I saw was like that. You know, these two have very short upper lips like a person. There's no way those are Bigfoots. And then the one on the right here, you can't see his upper lip. I mean, you kind of get a hint of it there to the right, underneath the left nostril. And I don't see, it looks like you might see the crack of his mouth real low, and it kind of looks like, if that's what that is, that he has a long upper lip. So that would, you know, go a little bit farther to saying that could be a real one, but it also is completely different from the other two. So if Tod Standing is faking these, he's doing a lousy job, because he's obviously never even seen a Bigfoot if this is what he thinks a real Bigfoot looks like. Anyway, the man just drives me crazy, you know, and people out there believe in him. All right, now here's the other thing. He had some footprints that he found. Now, there were two different footprints that looked almost exactly the same. One was found by him and Dr. Meldrum. I mean, Dr. Bindernagel was there, but he was like roaming around in the background looking at a stick structure. And they found this found this left footprint, which was in this vegetative mound, so to speak. It was like a little hill of vegetation. And this is what you're looking at here, but the picture's looking straight down, so you can't really see the way the terrain was. And I think this is the one that he found with Dr. Meldrum. The two of them were exactly alike. And I remember when they found the second one with Dr. Bindernagel, I thought, that's the same footprint you found with Meldrum, because it looked like the same exact spot. And I'd have to look at the documentary again to see if it is or it isn't. But it doesn't really matter. The point is that both of the footprints are the same. And the one feature and one thing that was lacking in both footprints is the toes had dug into the vegetation, and you can see it right there. The dark part towards the center of the image is where the toes were, and they basically went up underneath the vegetation, right? Well, when that thing in the Bigfoot they had found another footprint farther up, which would be towards the top of this image. So he was moving forward. So when he stepped out of, he brought his left foot out of that spot, there would be drag out. You would not see that sharp edge along the top where the toes were. He would have disturbed it because his toes were under the vegetation. And now, in order for him to have pulled out without disturbing that and leaving that print the way he did, he would have to have picked his left foot up and pulled it backwards out of the vegetation and then moved on. I just don't think that he did that. And not only that, he did it in 2 different footprints on 2 different days, the same exact thing. So to me, and there's Dr. Bindernagel with his foot. This is the one that him and Dr. Bindernagel found. Now, if you look at it, it's obviously a different shape. But it looks like it's in the same spot because right above his foot is that piece of wood. Okay, now let me flip back to the other one. And you can compare the shape. But it has that piece of wood there. So, I mean, I know that he found 2 different footprints. I think I captured both of them. But I might have captured the same one twice. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because they were exactly the same. And that's why, if they are the same footprint, that's why, because I couldn't tell which one was which. They were so similar. And if you look at Dr. Bindernagel's, the tip of his boot, it's up underneath the vegetation when he put his foot in it. Now, the Bigfoot's toes were actually farther up in under the vegetation because when he moved the camera around, you could see how deep it was. And I couldn't believe, I was like, why in the heck was his toes that far into the substrate, And then when he moved on, when he continued to walk forward, why didn't he destroy that edge along where Dr. Bindernagel's boot, the tip of his boot is, where the toes would have pulled out and destroyed that bit of vegetation? It wouldn't have left that perfect little edge like that. Unless, like I said, he pulled his foot out backwards and then moved forward. And I just don't think a Bigfoot would have been that considerate to leave such a perfect footprint. In those, but now on both days, both footprints, they saw the slight impression of the right foot a little farther up, and only the left foot left that perfect little spot. And it was in very similar, it was so similar, I literally thought it was the same spot, except Tod Standing said it was a different spot. But to me, it looked like it was the same exact mound of grass in a different footprint, that they found on 2 different days, which was just ridiculous. To me, it smacks of it being staged. Could be wrong. I mean, maybe it was just one of those things where on 2 different days, Bigfoot left a really crazy footprint. The same foot, the left foot, left the same exact footprint on 2 different days. I don't know. Possibly, I guess. Crazy stuff happens. I kind of doubt it. All right. So anyway, that I believe is the last picture I have. And let me go back. Hopefully I haven't been wasting my breath because it went to crap on me again. Let me see here.